Hello, YouTube. Alright, I am actually here to do some repairs. Not repairs, but to make a charging cable. A tether cable to charge or to share the house battery pack that's inside little Blue 2 with the one that's inside Good Enough. So you might be wondering why I'm picking up this Loctite super glue gel. It's $2.86 for two of them. This is for my teeth. But we are going to be looking around Walmart for a power cable. Basically, I think I have the system down. We're gonna see if it actually works or not, but I'm planning on using basically a regular cable, maybe one that's waterproof, outdoor cable. I'm going to try to find a power cable, and see if I can't get this to work. I might also pick up a light switch cover thingy. Let me go ahead and do that instead of walking around filming, because other people may pop up, and I'm not sure I want to film other people in here. So stay tuned. Okay, here are the faceplates for the lights. Light switches. I'm going to take two of them because I bought two of these cheap switches. So it's like a little bit over $1 to get that done. Or maybe these are even cheaper, 27 cents. We'll go with cheap. Going for the 27-cent ones. Yeah, man. I wonder what the difference is. I see the other one's fatter. So for the fatter one, you pay 62 cents. For the cheap little ones, you only pay 27 cents. I'm going to go with the 27 cents. I like smaller anyways. Take up less space. Yeah. I decided to get the white one because I think I prefer the white versus the beige one that they had at the other store when I was buying the switches. So you could actually even go higher end and get something nice like this, but I think the goal of this particular build is cheap. So we're going to stick with that and just go as cheap as we can. Okay, so here I am in the cords, the power cord section. And wow, power cables are expensive. Ideally, I would like to get a 10 gauge wire. But I'm looking at the prices, and most of the affordable ones are only 16 gauge. 25 foot is just about the right distance. Ideally, I could get 25 foot at 10 gauge, but they only seem to have mostly 16 gauge, although I see a 12 gauge and a 14 gauge. 12 gauge right here. It's a 3 outlet though. And then this is a 14 gauge. There's a single one. 25 foot. With the extension cord. And I just threw away the tip the other day. It's pretty bad. Let me think. This is a 14 gauge. It's $24. That's a 50 foot though. I don't need 50 feet. 14 gauge. Wait, here's a 14 gauge, 25 feet for $20, or 16 gauge. And go 16 gauge outdoor extension cord. 16 gauge is weaker than I really want, but or smaller than I really want. But I think it'll do. All I'm doing is I'm going to tie the two batteries together and just charge one battery off the other one. It's going to like trickle charge it. It's not meant for I'm just wondering if it could end up melting if it tries to pull See, this is 16 gauges maximum of 13 amps max. I know the circuit breakers on there, on the RV system, they are all, the 12 volt circuit breakers are all 15 amp. So this one would melt before the circuit breaker went off. So that means 16 gauge is out of the question. It says, see what it's saying here is 16 gauge will only handle 13 amps max. And we know the RV is set to break. You know, the RV, I had under the bed, there's a panel that has, it's got fuses there, automotive fuses, but they're only 15 amps. And they break when you go above 15 amps. So that means the gauge should go to at least 15 amps. So that means 16 gauge is out of the question. When I say gauge, they're talking about how thick the line is. And the smaller the number on the gauge, the thicker the wire. Like this 14 gauge is actually thicker. This one would probably handle, so this will handle up to 15 max amps. So this would be good. And this is an even better one, 10 gauge, but it's a 4-wire cord. So I'm thinking 14 or 12 gauge is what I need. Of course, if it goes more than 15, this says 15 max amps. If more than 15 amps wants to go through, there's a chance the wire will melt. I wish 16 would do it, but I might have to go with 12. I might have to pay more money. This is gonna suck. It's like $26, but it says 3 outlet. This is $29. Yellow. $35. How can this be more than that? That's a 3 outlet extension cord. This one is single, but it'll handle up to 15 amps. 15-foot extension, 15 maximum amps. But it's got 3 outlets. I don't want 3 outlets. I only want 1. So we might go with this. That's a 14. I don't know if there's any 12s. They only have this one 12. Here's another 12, but it's $30. I'm sure I want to spend $30 on this. Because I could get a jumper. You know, but what I'm trying to do is have a system that I can easily connect and disconnect. Look at this one, it's like $60 for that. But that's a 50-footer. Oh man, what to do? I was hoping to only spend like $10. But I'm afraid. I'm afraid going 16 gauge that the thing will melt. And even 15 amps is a little high. But the circuit breaker should break. Man, this should not be a short circuit. Let's see what it says here. This says, I don't even need 3 prong, I only need 2, but these are all indoor. There's no outdoor. Ideally, I could just go with one of these if I could find one that's outdoors. There's a 15-foot extension that's also 16 gauge. These are all 16s. It says indoor. I want one that's outdoor, general use. The reason I want it to be outdoor is this will be hooked up overnight while I'm sleeping. Last thing you want to do is have everything catch on fire. Let me look here. 16 gauge. I think we're gonna go with this $20 14 gauge versus $30 versus. I told you you're coming back for 12 is. How come it's the same? The gauge rating here, it says 14 gauge is 15 max. 12 will go up to 20 amps max. So the longer distance, the lower the amps, max amps. So 25 to 50 foot, 14 gauge will handle 15 amps. 12 will handle 20 amps max. Which I might want to do the 20 amps. But it's like $30. I'm not sure I want to spend $30. Let me pause this camera while I figure this out, because you guys are just watching me decide, and this is pretty boring. Alright, I'm taking way too long to determine this, but we're going to go ahead and go with this 16 gauge outdoor 25 foot extension cord. It's smaller than it should be, but I think we're going to be okay, because all we're going to do is connect the two batteries together, and it should trickle charge the other battery. And this is not a permanent setup, this is a temporary setup until I can get the solar power system installed and working. So this is an outdoor general use. We're going to go ahead and go with this and see if we can't get this working for $10. I don't want to spend $20, $30 on something that's going to be temporary, only used very briefly, maybe for a month or two, while I'm waiting to get funds to get the solar panel system set up and working. Yeah. Let's see what happens, and hopefully what happens is the RV doesn't burn down. So stay tuned, and you'll see what I do with this.